Time Warner Cable is pleased to be an underwriting sponsor for Carolina Week.
Towing and ticketing. You better watch your car. We've got a special report.
Plus, it's the biggest costume party in Chapel Hill, but how long can it stay that way?
In sports, we'll show you what ESPN is doing to hold your interest.
And how grapes are bringing North Carolina the big bucks and a new industry.
Carolina Week starts right now.
From the James F. Goodman Studio in the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, connecting campus and community, this is Carolina Week.
Maybe easier to find a parking spot, or maybe easier to earn a degree in Chapel Hill than to find a parking spot. It's true on campus and off. Good evening, I'm Kathleen Whitty.
And I'm Preston Jones. First at 5, we have 2 reports on parking in the town of Chapel Hill tonight. First, a review of the town's towing policy. And second, some proposed tough restrictions on parking in one community. Patrick Wright has the towing story.
We see them all the time. Tow trucks on a search for illegally parked cars. And downtown, they don't have trouble finding them. You know how it works. You park in one lot and head to another store while a camera films it all. Well, towing company officials say it's your own fault.
We're not doing anything illegal. The reason a lot of people are having complaints and so forth is because they don't read signs.
Yes, sir, we do have that car on our property.
George King owns George's Towing here in Chapel Hill. He doesn't make many friends in his profession, but King says he's simply doing his job.
And we're not in the business just to go down and tow a bunch of cars. We're there to help provide spaces for the customers who are wanting to do business there.
Not everyone agrees. Senior Katie Dyke lost her car in the Noodles & Company parking lot this year. She admits she could have paid more attention, but thinks towers definitely have their own motives.
It just seems like they sort of stalk you, and I think they know that students are kind of looking for a place to park, and they know it's easy to tow.
Dyke isn't alone. Since April, police have received 20 complaints claiming companies like King's are engaging in predatory towing. But is that true?
In these specific cases that I mentioned, these all appear to be within the ordinance.
According to the town's 2008 towing ordinance, businesses must post signs that clearly mark towing areas, towing companies must report towed vehicles to police within 30 minutes, and companies can't charge you more than $100 to take back your car. King says what he's doing is completely legal, and he doesn't plan on quitting. So, if you don't want to end up here, pay attention to where you're parked.
You take a chance, you're subject to be towed.
And that's a message he wants to be heard loud and clear. In Chapel Hill, I'm Patrick Wright, Carolina Week.
I'm Michael Moore. One of the perks of living off campus at UNC, having a car and parking close by. UNC senior Taylor Weddle has 2, but a proposed ordinance to limit parking in his neighborhood could change that.
I have a car that I work on, and then I've got a car that I drive, and if we're only allowed to have, 4 people per house, and then only like 4 cars, it kind of makes it hard for me to have a commuter, which I can get back and forth.
Town of Chapel Hill senior planner Ray Buckley says the proposed parking ordinance is part of a much bigger plan, a plan she thinks can benefit the 600 homes of the North Side and Pine Knolls neighborhoods.
This neighborhood wants to perceive itself and be perceived by the outside as a residential family neighborhood. And so when you have these parking lots in the front of the house, it really does change the appearance.
If the ordinance is passed, the owner of this car would be fined, and so would this one, and this one, even if they're just visiting.
As long as the cars look nice and it's not like campers or trailers, I feel like that's kind of expected in a college town.
Owner of Dunlap Lilly Properties, one of the biggest rental agencies in town, Jim Lilly helped start a petition against the ordinance.
We took the petition around and had as many people we could sign it. And time after time I asked the students, what do you think about this? They said, we can't believe they're trying to do this.
Weddle and his roommates have already signed the petition, and his fingers are crossed that he won't have to give up his hobby. In Chapel Hill, I'm Michael Moore, Carolina Week.
Hearings on the towing ordinance and the parking proposal will be held later this month.
Wachovia's switch to Wells Fargo is showing up in Chapel Hill. In addition to the new look of the ATMs, buses also had a makeover. Town officials approved a new advertising program for buses, and so far Wells Fargo is taking the lead. The bank purchased 12 signs on Chapel Hill buses, some just on the sides, but some like this one have vinyl wraps covering the entire bus. You see it right there. Officials say the town will earn up to $450,000 once all ads are up.
And if you're an in-state student, you might be paying more for your education in the next 2 years, and not just a little bit more, but as much as 40% more. The UNC Board of Governors is thinking about raising in-state tuition by roughly $2,800, and the board isn't the only advocate for increasing tuition costs. Student body president Mary Cooper and Vice President Zeelan Hoover are also supporting the idea of raising tuition, although not necessarily by that amount.
Student body president Mary Cooper joins us now live from our satellite studio with more on the possible tuition increase. Ms. Cooper, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me, Preston. It's an honor to be here.
Now, former presidents have taken a strong stance against tuition increases, but that's not necessarily the case with you. Tell us about your stance on the issue.
So coming to this, it's been a challenging year financially for the university. And what's unique about this is that it's our relationship with the state. And to go back, I would like to say that first and foremost, this is the most important time for students to be involved. There is no proposal on the table that is official, and we are in the process of developing a proposal that students understand and would vote for, and if they had the opportunity to, and sort of map out the track from there. So there are a lot of ideas out there. The 40% number has been tossed around. However, Zeelan Hoover and myself have yet to say that we officially support that stance. The university has gone through a lot, whether it's budget cuts or through other means. We've suffered a lot, and this is a time to understand the situation that the university is in, but make sure that students aren't seen as the only way out.
Right.
We have state relations that we can work on, university development, getting involved in research, and then moving on from there to think about tuition.
All right, now we did a report several weeks ago about how UNC has one of the lowest out-of-state tuitions in comparison with some of our peer universities. Now, you're an out-of-state student, I am too. Why is this focusing on just increase for the in-state students, and why aren't we thinking about increasing it for out-of-state students as well?
So to go to that, the initial proposal that the Board of Governors allows us to do is a 6.5% increase for all students at the University of North Carolina. This past, over the summer and into the fall semester, Provost Carney has been working with General Administration to reevaluate our peer groups. Peer groups means these are the universities and institutions that we aspire to be like and are similar to in a variety of ways. So, in looking at our peer groups, we come in the lowest for in-state tuition, as well as for out-of-state tuition, we're in the bottom 25th percentile. The General Administration and their bylaws and in this current policy that we're standing by has a provision that if we find ourselves significantly below where our peers are, then we can do a one-time readjustment over several years to make it up to where our peers are, which would be at the top of the 25th percentile. So basically, we would need 75% of our peers above us in tuition, and we could be, that's where we would be.
All right, well,
this is where the number 40% is coming. We are 40% below the top of the 25th percentile.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us. That's Student Body President Mary Cooper live in our satellite studio.
Thank you for having me.
With spring registration starting this week, the fight for classes is back on. That spring term, there will be 550 fewer course sections than last year. That means there are roughly 16,000 fewer classroom seats available for students. The classes with the highest demand are those needed to fill general education requirements, as you might expect. And after just the first day of registration, almost 150 classes are completely full, and the waitlist for these classes are filling up as well.
This Halloween, while many students went out to Franklin Street to see the array of costumes, a man was caught trying to take pictures underneath women's outfits. Shown here is a picture of John Thomas Witt Jr., the man charged with peeping during the Franklin Street Halloween festivities. Chapel Hill police said that some women reported seeing Witt using a video camera to film under women's skirts. Now, authorities say he was convicted of multiple peeping offenses a decade ago. He was arrested and is being held in the Orange County Jail under a $10,000 bond. The peeping arrest was one of 4 during Halloween on Franklin Street. There were as many as 8 injuries as well. Luckily, nothing too serious.
Authorities say they're happy with the smaller crowd this year. Cassie Scarsha has the story.
Richard Commercio is an exchange student from Germany. On a normal day, he looks like this, but on Halloween, he transformed into this.
When I came here, my flatmates told me, well, Richard, it's going to be crazy. I mean, there's a huge street party, it's a public street party, and people are really creative.
And creative he was. Khmer Seal dressed up with a fellow international student as the game Cheese or Font. As they enjoyed their first Franklin Street experience, they had other attendees play their game, guessing if words on pieces of paper were cheese or a font. But still, Khmer Seal says he expected there to be more.
If you block the streets, if you have so many people outside, I would have expected that, I don't know, they sell food or they sell beverages.
Minimizing activity like this is all part of the homegrown Halloween initiative from the town. 27,000 people attended this year, but Chapel Hill police say they want to see the number continue to shrink.
Don't know what that number is going to ultimately look like in 3 or 4 years, whether it'll be 10,000 or 5,000 or whatever it'll be, but our message is going to be consistent with we want this to be a smaller, more manageable event.
Khmer Seal thinks the emphasis on size just isn't necessary.
I think it's completely over-exaggerated, their concerns about safety.
Despite the regulations, Khmer Seal says he enjoyed the experience because he followed 3 rules that he was taught when first arriving at UNC.
Don't judge, don't be shy, and nothing is ridiculous.
Gunter says he wants students like Khmer Seal to enjoy the night, but to hear the message that this is a local event to be celebrated safely. In Chapel Hill, I'm Cassie Skarsha, Carolina Week.
It's pouring money into the economy.
Coming up, we'll take you inside the North Carolina wine industry. That's straight ahead.
I'm Patrick Wright, Director of Carolina Week, and I am definitely a Tar Heel.
I'm Preston Jones, anchor for Carolina Week, and I'm proud to be a Tar Heel.
My name is Kathleen Whitty. I'm a reporter and anchor for Carolina Week, but most importantly, I am a Tar Heel.
I'm Carolina Week sports anchor Andy Reeves, and I'm a Tar Heel.
I'm Lindsay Hawkins, senior producer for Carolina Week, and I love being a Tar Heel.
When tragedy struck Indonesia and Haiti, the world responded. The famine, war, and drought affecting the Horn of Africa right now is larger than both these crises combined, and the world should be paying attention. Text a donation of $10, but do more than donate. Forward the facts to everyone you know. Forward from our site, forward on Facebook, and forward on Twitter. We are the relief.
Some changes at that other school down the road, we don't like to talk about them too much, but Duke has changed its honor policy surrounding a certain drug.
If you take Adderall without a prescription, it's considered cheating and a violation of Duke's honor code. But what's the policy here at UNC? Caitlin Covington reports.
UNC senior Audrey Barrier has had a long relationship with Adderall.
I've been taking Adderall since 3rd grade, so that's probably like 13 years.
She has attention deficit disorder, and the medicine helps her concentrate. But many college students take the drug even though they're not prescribed. Students buy the pills from people who have prescriptions. It supposedly helps them study.
It's usually people who are closer to me, like roommates or friends, and they'll just be like, hey, do you think I could get like an Adderall and I'll pay you like so and so.
What most students don't realize is that taking Adderall without a prescription is illegal. And although it may not be considered cheating, it still is a violation of the UNC Honor Code. If you're caught, you can be sent to disciplinary hearings and put on probation or even suspended. But should it be considered cheating? UNC Honor Court Chair Michelle Healy.
And I think for me personally, it's more of a conduct offense. That use of that substance is negatively affecting yourself and the campus community because it is illegal.
Barrier doesn't see it as cheating either.
I don't think it's considered cheating because it's a way to study. All it does is make you work harder and with less distractions.
Regardless of the effect it has, these small pills can have some big consequences. In Chapel Hill, I'm Caitlin Covington, Carolina Week.
To learn more about Duke's new policy and on-campus Adderall abuse, visit our partners at reesenews.org.
If you're going to graduate this year, you're probably already thinking about getting a job. But there's one sector of the state's economy you may not have considered for employment.
And it's growing at gangbuster rates here in our state. Amy Whitaker has the story of how winemaking is becoming a big business.
Meet Thomas Sally.
He graduated in 2007 from the University of South Carolina with a degree in public relations. And now he finds himself doing a lot of this.
Acids, and that causes the grapes to ripen more quickly.
Vineyard tours. And he's the tasting room manager at a winery in Wilkes County, North Carolina. He says the choice to enter the wine industry was a no-brainer.
Right now is the perfect time to get into the business because there are so many wineries popping up, and as they grow, their needs are going to also grow.
Director of Wine for the North Carolina Division of Tourism, Justin Furr, says this industry's growth is recent and even unexpected.
Over the last 10 years, it's just been exponential growth here in North Carolina for the wineries. From 2000, we had 21 wineries across the state, and today it's grown fivefold. We're over 106, and growing.
According to the State Wine and Grape Council, North Carolina ranked 7th for wine production and 10th for grape production in 2009. Furr thinks the rankings are higher now and says this industry is helping more than winemakers.
Whether it's the guys making the boxes, whether it's the guys making the bottles, the people actually making the wine, the farm equipment, the guys coming out to pick the grapes. The impact on the economy is just, it's very expansive.
And the numbers prove it. According to the State Wine and Grape Council, in 2009, the wine industry supported nearly 7,600 jobs. That's almost 2,000 more than in 2005. And more jobs equals more revenue. The wine industry brought $1.28 billion, that's billion with a B, into the state's economy in 2009, a 58% increase compared to 2005. It's tourists like Rick Carter who help keep the wine industry's revenue flowing.
Scenery is beautiful. You're in the foothills of the mountains. It's the first time I've ever seen a vineyard up close like this, where you can actually see the grapes hanging from the vines.
Furr says tours are almost as popular as the wine itself.
Do you want to go sit on the back porch at a small winery and talk to the actual winemaker and owner of the place? You can go do that in different parts of North Carolina. Or you can go to the large, big wineries here in North Carolina.
Most recent studies show about 1.3 million tourists visited North Carolina wineries in 2009, and Sally says that's just a start.
Even the casual wine drinker, if we can bolster people's interest in wine and local wines and local foods, then, we can take off anywhere and go anywhere from here.
Including, perhaps, challenging California as the top wine-producing state. In Chapel Hill, I'm Amy Whitaker, Carolina Week.
Well, our wine industry may be growing, but it will take a lot of that growth to catch up with California. The Golden State produces nearly 500 million gallons of wine per year, while North Carolina produces only about 1 million.
There's a new king and queen of Chapel Hill tonight. Well, sort of. Carolina Week's Clint Hanna was named Mr. UNC at the homecoming football game on Saturday. There he is. And Holly Roberts was crowned Miss UNC. The two students will be working on service projects throughout the next year. Roberts will work with Tar Heels for the troops to raise money for the U.S. military. And Hannah will work with Club Nova. He's running my camera right here in the studio right now. And a social rehab program for individuals who suffer from mental illnesses. Well, this weekend's the big state game coming up. I know everyone's getting excited about it.
Coming up next, we'll take a look at the weather, and later in sports, we'll preview the game.
I hope you find a home. I hope you find a home. Hey, maybe you'll be picked next. Maybe you'll be picked next. We've been caged together too long. We've been caged together too long. How come nobody ever picks me? Maybe they're looking for somebody different. Pick me. Well, the shelter's closing up for another day. We didn't get picked. I know. Tomorrow. Guaranteed.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm meteorologist Katherine Thompson. Now today, someone at the bus stop told me that North Carolina is like it's had 4 seasons, summer, 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 and winter. It's like we've jumped straight into winter almost. Will we get a warm up anytime soon? Also, there's a low pressure system headed our way. Will that bring us any rain this weekend? We'll take a look at that. But as for right now, if you're looking for a fast forecast over the next 24 hours, by 8 a.m. or by 8 p.m. tonight, this evening, you'll see 55 degrees, mostly clear skies out there. 38 degrees for the high tomorrow morning. Well, not really for the high, but as you're going off to work. And 60 degrees by noontime, heading off to lunch. Looking at our satellite radar image for right now, you can see that there is some precipitation going on over the Ohio River Valley right now. That's all due to a low pressure system that's moving towards our way. Also, we have a high pressure system that's sticking with us, and that is why we are staying in the clear. As you can see, here's that high pressure system again right there. And as you can see over here, the Ohio River Valley, there's our low pressure system moving our way. By Thursday night, that's really going to be pressing into our area, and that's where we're going to be getting most of our precipitation Thursday night and into Friday morning. Now, tonight, clear and cold conditions. Without that cloud cover to insulate us, we'll have a low temperature of 36 degrees tonight. And for tomorrow, a high of 67 degrees, mostly sunny skies out there, a beautiful day to get outside. Also, for my graphics are having a little trouble today, but as you can see, the football game, if you're heading out to Raleigh this weekend to watch the Wolfpack take on the Tar Heels at Carter-Finley Stadium, your tailgate forecast will be around 45 degrees. Make sure you have your jacket on as you're playing cornhole. Partly cloudy skies out there. Those will be sticking with us throughout the day. By kickoff time, we'll be up to 54 degrees. Still have that jacket on, because if you're sitting in those shady areas of the stadium, you might still have some trouble with that. Also, by post-game, heading off, that's around 3:30 to 4 o'clock. We'll have a high around 60 degrees. Taking a look at our extended forecast for this week, Thursday and Friday we'll have a little bit of precipitation, maybe later into Thursday night and into Friday morning. That's an 80% chance of rain. Again, that's with that cold front moving through. And for the weekend forecast, looking great though. We're going to be able to see skies clearing on Friday night going into Saturday. Reminder, daylight savings time ends on Sunday at 2 in the morning. So if you need to set your clocks back an hour, make sure you do that. And that's at 1, and we're back up to 69 on Monday. So we do have a warm-up in store.
Sounds like it. Well, I'm not sure most of our viewers know that we import our meteorologists here for Carolina Week from NC State. So, Catherine, I couldn't help but notice the color of your weather game slide and the color of your dress
today. Is she wearing red? Is she really wearing red?
She is really wearing red. Well, if we can't agree on who should be winning the game on Saturday, at least we can agree that we love some clear weather.
True, very true.
So anyway, thank you so much for joining us, Catherine. We really appreciate it.
Well, next in sports, we'll take a look at the new ways ESPN is catering to college students.
Welcome to my block party. Glad you can make it.
The only triple doubles you get come with fries.
Last time you blocked someone, you were online.
I can do this all day. Your moves are just gay.
Using gay to mean dumb or stupid, not cool.
Not cool.
Not in my house, not anywhere. It's not creative, it's offensive to gay people. And you're better than that.
Separate raw meats from other foods by using different cutting boards. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm Andy Reeves. Last year, Harrison Barnes was the first freshman ever to be selected as a preseason All-American. This year, it's no shocker he's back on that list. Last season, Barnes averaged 15.7 points per game. There you see him scoring right there, and 5.8 rebounds per game. After a slow start to the season, Barnes caught fire when ACC play started and led North Carolina to the Elite Eight. He'll now be leading the preseason favorites to win it all, but he says the team's focus is not as championship or bust, but to go out and play the best basketball that they can. Others on that list include Jordan Taylor of Wisconsin, UConn's Jeremy Lamb, Jared Sullinger from Ohio State, and Terrence Jones of Kentucky. Barnes and the Heels face number 14 Wisconsin on November 30th and number 2 Kentucky on December 3rd. The football team is bowl eligible after thrashing Wake Forest this past weekend. Now they hope they can do something they haven't done in 4 years, beat NC State. The Heels won't have to worry about the elusive Russell Wilson this year. He transferred to Wisconsin and is dominating the Big Ten now. But they will have to keep an eye on speedy receiver TJ Graham, who burned them for a punt return touchdown last season. That play gave the Pack the lead for good in that game. And with a 12:30 kickoff, the Heels will have a chance to shake their trend of starting slow in early games. The Heels are a mere 2-3 in games that start before 1 o'clock. ESPN is a sports entertainment juggernaut worth billions. That's right, with a B, billions of dollars. And college students are a big part of that audience. So how's the company keeping you hooked?
This is SportsCenter.
ESPN has been on the forefront of the shift to digital platforms. A broadband channel, social media pages, and a website that last month alone had more than 70 million unique visitors. To keep that traffic coming, ESPN's number 2 man, John Skipper, says the company has to cater to the individual.
Whether it be team-based, whether it be location-based, whether it be sport-based, whether it be specific interest-based, people expect to have content for them.
That's a lot of ground to cover, especially with viewers that range from senior sports fans who keep appointments with the television to college students watching games on their phones.
For sort of every new generation of sports fans, they're going to have a slightly different way in which they want to consume sports. And so we have to sort of be cognizant of how they want to get sports and make sure that on some of our outlets and with some of our product, we're specifically addressing that.
So how do you keep the attention of this generation of college students that can get content whenever and however they want?
A lot of polls, a lot of Twitter, a lot of social interaction to make sure that we don't let anybody else push into ESPN's territory by sort of outflanking us in specifically targeting a certain demographic like college students.
Professor John Sweeney, director of the sports communication program at UNC, says a passion for sports has more to do with the college-age viewership than anything ESPN is doing.
The strength of sports is that it's got an established loyalty going in.
Skipper acknowledges that sports will always have its unique pull to fall back on.
Whatever happens technologically, whatever happens culturally, the North Carolina-Duke game is still the North Carolina-Duke game. And there's only one of them. You can't watch the North Carolina-Duke game time-shifted. You got to watch it live, and you got to watch it at whatever place owns the rights to that.
Well, guys, I had the opportunity to sit down with John Skipper because he's a UNC grad and was back on campus visiting.
You know, Andy, it seems like ESPN does all kind of cool things. I might be a little biased, but I say there's nothing like Carolina Week Sports with Andy Reeves.
Oh, well, thank you, Preston. I'm flattered.
Thank you, Andy.
Kicking it up a notch, one UNC student plays soccer to tackle hunger.
If you have a story idea, call Carolina Week at 919-843-8292 or email us at carolinaweek@unc.edu. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNC-CH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina 27599. Be sure to check out Carolina Week and Carolina Connection online at carolinaweek.org.
My name's Reggie. Just recently, my wife and I took in her sister's children. And we already had 4, so I went from becoming a family man to a man with a bigger family. Now, you can't eat love, so I don't know how I'm gonna feed them tonight. How was that, Rich?
I think I look more like Denzel.
That's cold, man.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
Hunger is a global problem.
And one UNC senior has founded an organization to fight hunger while playing soccer. Gabe Whaley is the president of the nonprofit Kicking for Hunger. He was recently named People Magazine's Reader's Choice Hero of the Year. His organization offers free soccer camps and clinics in return for canned goods. The food then goes to help community members in need. A very simple yet effective concept. Even the young children in the camps seem to understand.
Seems like a great thing that he's doing there, Kathleen.
It sure does.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for Carolina Week. Thanks so much for watching.
Good night.